Did we die? Love and Lavender. Their dreams are alive. These are some of the anthologies that have been written by our guest today. He is known as writer of this generation and Anan. With over 7 titles in a space of 2 years, that is no mean feat. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Anan Prisca and I'll be your host today. And on this episode, I'm joined by the amazing Jasper Okedi.
Yeah.
Should I call it Jasper or writer of this generation?
Both.
Both?
Yes.
Okay. Jasper, welcome to the show.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm very excited to have you on. This is the first time we're having a poet, a writer, and it's very exciting for us. We have like creatives all the time, but this is different because I feel like this is the original form of art.
Wow.
So how does it feel being on the program?
Well, it's exciting,
Okay.
amazing,
Mm.
and now I can tell that
Mm.
it's great to do great things. It's good to do great things. Great things will cause you to come into the world and keep on doing what you want to do. When you keep being creative, when you keep coming out to inspire people, there is an impact that money cannot buy.
Nice.
So it's really honorable to be here today.
Wow. This intro, it just feels like I am with a poet. Like you're very good with your words. Like even before that, like you're really good with your words.
Thank
This
you.
is going to be an exciting one. So usually how we start the show is our guests will, we start with the very daunting, some people think it's a daunting question, where we ask you, who is Jasper?
Yeah.
So who is Jasper?
Well, Jasper is a multi-gifted person. In many spaces, I'm known as the writer of this generation.
Yeah.
I am an author. I am also a medical professional.
Wow.
I'm a pharmacy professional as well.
Oh.
In other spaces, I'm a speaker.
Okay.
And in other spaces too, a musician.
Wait, a musician as well?
Yes. Although today I am carrying the mantle of a writer.
Okay. Yeah. Today we are going to talk to the writer of this generation.
Yeah.
And, tell us, you've told us who Jasper is, but let's dive in a little bit deeper into who the writer of this generation is. And it's a very catchy, phrase. And I'm curious what inspired that, and tell us a bit about that.
Well, beautiful question. Writer of this generation. The name was birthed in 2020.
Okay.
Yes, the early bit of 2020, when I discovered that if I don't write, I will cheat a whole generation.
Okay. You'll cheat a whole generation.
Yes.
Powerful.
Exactly. It was a process of self-discovery, and it sparked me that up until then, I hadn't met myself.
Oh, wow.
I was earlier defined by what people thought of me and what they thought I could be and what I myself thought I could be. But when you meet your gift, your whole life changes.
Oh.
When you meet your gift, self-discovery happens.
Okay.
The gift defines what you can do to the absolute best with the least amount of effort. The gift tells you what you would contribute to a generation.
Yeah. Okay. And
The gift is gold. It's wealth. It's what we shouldn't take to the grave. That is why I believe that the graveyard is the richest place on earth, because that's where we have books that were never written, songs that were never sung, poems that were never recited, inventions that were never made, because people did not discover who they were. I initially thought I would be a doctor. Well, I became a pharmacy professional, but it is what society had ingrained into us. Well, you're young, you're growing up. It seems like you have to be either a doctor, a lawyer,
or an engineer.
or an engineer to be. Yes, exactly. You know, that tale how it goes.
Yeah.
To be successful in life. But what's not told is that everybody is unique. Each and every one of us did not come to earth without a gift, which is our uniqueness. So the discovery that I could use words to create any form of impact, from inspiration to motivation to other forms of impact, like creating a movement that is following a worthy cause, and other forms of inspiration that creatives come up with using their words and using their forms of art. When I discovered that there was more to life than just the school system, the employment system, the bills, and then death. So that's what birthed the right of this generation.
Very example. I am definitely taking away what you said. If you didn't write, you would cheat an entire generation.
Yes.
And how profound your gift has led you to discover who you are. And what else has this gift given you? Like, what else, like, how many books have you written so far? Just let's dive into a bit of the works that you have been able to produce since, I think, 2020, since this epiphany happened for you.
Thank you. Yes, so I have written 8 books, but published 6 so far.
6, okay.
Yes. 2 are yet to be published in the year 2025.
Things are coming.
Yeah, good things are coming. Better things are coming. Yes, but I published 6 so far.
6?
Yes.
In 2 years?
In 2 years' time, yes. From the year 2022, November.
Okay, I can't wrap my head around that. How have you been able to do that? Like, you're competing with James Patterson. He's the only other person who I know who will turn them books, you know? He's just like always on a roll.
Yeah.
But, and your genre is poetry, which is a bit more deeper. So how are you able to, have this level of work in such a space of time?
Well, I must say that without sacrifice, you could never achieve anything great. Sacrifice means foregoing the things that you would have been doing if you were not busy with your craft. It's been sleepless nights, and the sleepless nights are enjoyable when you are doing what you love.
That's true.
Many people apply the principle of hard work. Very many people do that in their different professions and different fields. But when hard work meets talent, there is beauty at dawn. There is something magnificent that is born as the sun is rising. So for me, the hard work was more like effortless, as opposed to the hard work when I was training as a pharmacy profession. And that's what spoke to me. When the hard work was effortless, when it was so easy to stay up all night and come up with these words. Of course, every writer and every creative has their muse. My muse is good music.
Oh.
Very good music. As long as I'm having good music, candles burning, I could come up with anything. Anything.
What's good
I could
music to you?
I could write a poem, I could write a story,
Anything.
I could write a script, I could write anything.
You could use anything with you.
I could write a social media post, anything.
Anything.
Yes. But your question, what's good music? Good music is music that speaks to your soul.
Okay.
It's a combination of the sound and the lyrics that speak to something in you that you agree with but didn't know was there. That's what sparks our creativity. When you listen to a line in a song that speaks to you and causes some stirring in your bosom, you begin to bring out what has always been hidden underneath, if that is your muse.
Okay, so in a way, art inspires art.
Yes, art inspires art.
Okay.
In the same way that I am inspired, I inspire somebody else who will inspire another person. And I've seen this inspiration as a real thing. When I took my writing to Twitter as a philosopher, allow me to talk about that a bit.
Yes, please, by all means.
I write for men on Twitter. And when I took it to Twitter about a year ago, that was this December 2023, I really didn't know what would come out of it, but I knew I had something to say to somebody out there, regardless of their face, race, or gender, or origin. And so what followed in the months ahead was that several people all over the world began reaching out to me. And the common denominator amongst the things that they said was that my words changed their lives. And that to me was something I had to take serious. I didn't take it as a compliment. I took it as the acknowledgement of a responsibility.
Okay, yeah.
It means that I have to be here to say what needs to be said, to say the truth that people need to be listening to but aren't yet hearing. And these were many people, both men and women, surprisingly, and from Kenya, South Africa, Europe, and the United States. So the impact of my work spoke to me about the importance of purpose and finding your purpose. And so, regardless of whatever challenges come, I'm not going to let go of my pen.
Nice. Well, they do say the pen is mightier than the sword.
It is. It is.
So,
it is.
by all means, do not drop the pen. Do not. Yeah. And you were talking about how your work is inspiring people and, you know, inspiring them to sort of like look within themselves and question and ask, what is my purpose here?
Yeah.
But for someone who is watching you for the very first time, who hasn't interacted with your work, I'm probably curious, what genre are you into? What does your work look like? If we could just get into that, if you could unpack, you know, for that person.
Well, initially, I began with poetry.
Okay.
Poetry as my foundational genre.
Nice.
It will always be my foundational genre because poetry has the capacity to communicate in ways that other forms of literature cannot. Yes. And but as time went by, I shifted a bit from fictional poetry to non-fictional philosophy, but still inspired by poetry.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
And did you feel like you were betraying your initial who Jasper was? Because some artists struggle like with that shift. It's like, am I betraying who I am? Did that ever occur to you?
Not at all, because they are embedded. They are together. The best philosophy is laced with poetry. Poetry communicates what ordinary language wouldn't have communicated so easily. So even when I began writing philosophy, it was still with the beauty of poetry.
Oh, that's beautiful. And philosophy can be intense, so it helps when you're making it, like you're writing it in color.
Yes.
Okay, so some of your books that you've written, from Love and Lavender to Flames of Fire.
Yeah.
Can you just give us a little bit of a brief into what? Yeah.
Love and Lavender was the writer of this generation's Debo. It was my first book.
Maiden Voyage.
Yes. It was my first book, but at the same time, the magnum opus of all my works, because it set the stage for what would come after.
Nice.
And what inspired Love and Lavender was the fact that today's society is over-sexualized. Evidently, evidently from what we could see on social media, everywhere you turn, everywhere you turn your eyes to, you're almost met with nudity, and nudity together with perversion that's laced with social media posts. And this is so normalized today, and it's so disturbing. And so Love and Lavender came to sort of inspire the solution to that problem. Exactly. So, well, love as we know it is the greatest thing that the human heart can have. Lavender itself, what lavender signifies, is all the things that love comes with.
Okay.
Lavender is purple. We all know that it has a bit of purple in it. Purple means royalty. Purple means that there is hope, there is dignity, there is value, there is virtue, there is character. All those things come with royalty. So that is why the title goes Love and Lavender. Yes, and why I wrote about love in this form is to communicate that as the society is over-sexualized, we need to go back to where all that went wrong. How did we reach here? I believe, and Love and Lavender talks about this, Love and Lavender communicates that all this began when sex stopped being a covenantal fruit.
Okay.
Sex is supposed to be a covenantal thing. It's supposed to be in marriage. So in summary, Love and Lavender came to tell people that if we are to take sex back to the institution of marriage, then society will get much better. That's what inspired Love and Lavender.
Deep.
Yeah, so it's basically a book for those who are planning to get married, those who are already there, those who have grown up but haven't been given that example as they were growing.
From when you're sharing, I find that this book is also very inspired by like your spirituality, your Christian values. I don't know. Am I reading it right, or am I reading it grayish?
It's not really about that. It's really about what I believe and what I see and what is really the reality in life.
Okay.
When this beautiful thing called sex was still a thing of marriage 40, 50 years back, 60 years back, 80 to 100 years back, there was less societal perversion.
Okay.
When you look back to the days of our great-grandfathers, when it was preached so much that this is to be enjoyed in the institution of marriage, it was clear that there was discipline, there was order, there was morality. Morality was treasured. Yeah, so it really speaks for itself. It goes just beyond spirituality.
Beyond just spirituality. Okay, let's get into a little bit about Flames of Fire.
Yeah.
That's your second book.
Yes, my second book. It followed 2 months, just 2 months after.
Yeah. Wow. So is it in a way a continuation of Love and Lavender?
No. It's well, each book is in its way it's part of the sequel.
Okay.
But each book also stands for a different message.
Okay. So Flames of Fire.
Well, Flames of Fire. Anybody that is in love with poetry will know that poetry comes with flames, and what flames signify is passion. But that's not really what inspired the book.
Okay.
Well, in Flames of Fire and every other book, there is a continuous dialogue that is happening between the African man, the traditional African man, the traditional masculine African man, and the traditional feminine African woman.
Okay.
It's very, very, very specific. In every book, through every book, that dialogue continues. At some point, it becomes a conversation between three people.
And who's the third person?
Well, sorry, three groups. There is the traditional African man, traditional African woman, and then there is the audience, the people who are witnessing these two individuals. It could be anybody. It could be elders in society. It could be friends and family. It could be the children.
Okay.
Yes.
And just give us a brief.
Yes. So about Flames of Fire, Flames of Fire comes to tell us that relationships and marriage isn't just about passion. The naive mind relates relationships and marriage simply to love and passion and sex. It goes beyond that. And Flames of Fire comes to tell us that, well, there is a responsibility to be played.
Okay.
There is a selflessness to be demanded.
Okay.
There is an example to be left behind at the end of it all.
Okay.
So it goes beyond the lovey-dovey, the sweet nothings, the
emotions,
the love letters, to communicating individual responsibility between the traditional African man and the traditional African woman. Yeah, I believe we exist as a species because we play individual roles as each gender, male and female. And what the traditional African woman can do is very magnificent, but it's not what the traditional African man can do, and neither can the woman do what the man can do. And so when the traditional African man and woman play their individual roles, the individual roles connote responsibility. And that responsibility is what speaks maturity, and it's what keeps the nuclear family together.
Okay.
So that's what inspired Flames of Fire.
Nice.
It's to inform those who love the sweet nothings that, hey, wake up, it's beyond this. There is a responsibility to play. And when that responsibility is ignored, we end up having a generation that's almost 3/4 fatherless and almost a half motherless.
Okay.
So that's what inspired the book.
Wow, I mean, I feel like you're treading on thin ice a little bit with that. When that's a topic that usually brings people out, like it's very it divides. It's very controversial.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we're going to write, we might as well, write about the controversial things.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that's exciting.
Exactly.
But in summary, if you were to give a brief about what Jasper Okedi's works so far are about, what would you say? Just sum it up. All these 6 that are published and the 2 more that are coming.
Well, summing it up, I would say my work speaks to our African traditional values, our African values. I believe now more than ever, there is a loss of culture. With the world becoming a global village and with colonization continuing,
I know
there is a loss of African culture. But my concern is with that loss of culture, with this loss of African culture, there are problems that are rising up. There is identity crisis. We are not proud of who we are anymore, majority of us. And I'm speaking for many. There is confusion. There's confusion about what we stand for in the family because of loss of culture. And the effects of that are that the family is no longer holding together.
A sense I cannot hold.
Exactly. Divorce is on the rise.
Yeah.
More people divorce today than those that get married. That's alarming. And so my concern is that we need to hold on to our African values. we need to remember who we are. We need to hold tight onto what our forefathers believed in, because that's what kept order. That's what inspired the wisdom that they passed down to us, even if we are trying to ignore that. Yeah, so my work comes to remind people that, hey, and this is what Secrets Carried by the Wind talks about. It comes to remind people that, hey, there are keys and principles for right living.
Beautiful.
There are keys and principles for right living. And when we understand those keys and apply those principles, order becomes the norm of the day and chaos begins to exit the back door.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And it's nice to know that those young people like yourself who are rooting for Africa and a better Africa. And, you know, like the Chinua Achebe's book, The Center Cannot Hold.
Yes.
Now, if, you know, these principles, we go back to the actual principles.
Yes.
You know, it's like everything will come back together.
Yes. And I'm thinking about it deeply. It goes beyond just the African values.
Okay.
Because when you look at the original African values, they were family values that the rest of the world once upon a time held on to. And these values kept families together worldwide, world over. These values made sure that the men that came out of the home were more responsible. The women that came out were more responsible. So it's
beyond Africa.
It's widespread. I do believe that what the African values stand for is what the rest of the world would need, even if they wouldn't label it that in their case.
Okay, so they're just human values.
Exactly.
Okay.
Family values.
Family values. Okay. When you shared this brief, you know, about your work and, you know, what people can expect, I was curious and I'm like, what if someone now interested, you have their attention, they're interested, they want to read to your work, where can they find it?
Well, Amazon, all my works, the ones that have been published, are on Amazon, Kindle. Amazon doesn't supply Uganda and East Africa, but there is a soft copy Kindle version. Yeah, they could buy the books there.
How about people who want to smell and feel
the fresh pages of
yes.
newly printed books?
Yeah.
Well, they get to me through my social media. Jasper Okedi on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, LinkedIn as well.
Okay, nice view. And so there you have it. If you want a copy of this amazing work of Jasper Okedi, you know where to go. Now, Jasper, as a writer, one of the things that I feel like many writers probably struggle with is marketing their work. Because now you have this amazing work of art. It's here, it's fresh, it's pretty, it's ready for, you know, for people to partake of it. But no one knows about it, for example.
Yeah, true.
So for you, how do you navigate those very musky waters of marketing your work?
I love that. I love that question. Well, initially, let's talk about before COVID-19. Before COVID-19, it seemed as though the borders were closed. It seemed as though you had to begin thriving in your own home country. That's how it was. Everybody believed that they had to first set up base in their own country. And the problem was that in some communities, like this one, there was a poor reception.
Okay.
Yes, the community wasn't really up for supporting authors, young Ugandan authors, buying their books. But when COVID-19 came, I began writing Love and Lavender before COVID-19.
Before COVID, okay.
Yes, before COVID-19. But when COVID-19 came, it caused a disruption on another level. And it challenged the contemporary by then. And it also fronted social media as a platform for the world to unite. Because lockdown, everybody is in their home, everybody is locked up, nobody can move. But we are a social race. We still had to find a way to be social. And that's where social media thrived more than it had done before. So when social media became the major world platform, it also created the opportunity for social media marketing to become more impactful than the traditional media.
Okay.
Exactly. So that answers your question.
Yeah.
So I discovered social media marketing, and my style is that I reach out to people all over the world through my social media. I target communities that stand for my genre. That's how you do it. You have to really be specific. You have to know who you're writing for. You have to know where they are and how to get to them. Yeah, to market effectively. Otherwise, you could have good marketing, but the wrong audience. Yeah, so COVID-19 allowed us to reach out on, to use social media to reach out to different communities all over the world. So it shifted from regional marketing to worldwide marketing.
Nice.
Exactly. And I would say most of my readers from statistics are non-Ugandan.
Okay.
They're international readers, exactly. My biggest readers come from Europe.
Okay.
Not even Africa, yet it's African values. But I would assume that there are Africans in the diaspora that actually support my work.
Okay. But why do you think our reading culture is struggling a bit? Why do you think it is like that?
Beautiful question. Well, the answer may not be one you expect. Well, it goes back to what we were taught at home. How were we raised? How we behave as adults is dictated by what was ingrained into us from childhood.
Yes.
Those who are taught to love books as children will nurture that reading culture throughout life.
Okay.
But the problem with this community is we are taught to only read the academia.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I have an exam.
Exactly. Go
Night
to primary
owl.
school, excel. Go to secondary school, read those books, excel. Go to the university, excel. So the average person in this society is taught that reading is only in regards to the school system. That's ingrained into them subconsciously. Whenever they hear about reading, the first thing that comes to mind is exams.
Yeah.
And so when there's no exam, nobody
need
wants
to
to
read.
read. Exactly, that's the problem.
Okay.
So it all goes back to the family. That's why I keep emphasizing about the family. Everything is fixed there, everything is messed up from there.
If someone is watching and they have children and they're like, okay, I want to, ingrain this culture of reading, how can they do it? Just 1 or 2 tips.
Well, the first tip would be to find out what your child is naturally drawn to.
Okay.
And then get those books.
Okay.
Get books that speak to those topics or those interests. Some children are very interested in science. It gets easier when you match the interest with the value that you want to build in a child. You'll make no progress trying to force a young child that loves children poems into reading science. You'll buy science books, but they'll not be so interested. But when you get to match
The interest.
and thread the interests to whatever books speak about those topics, then it's easy for you to inspire them to develop that culture.
Okay, nice. But also, I think it also helps to just have books around. Because I remember when I was young, just having books around, like it prompts you to actually start reading. Vis-a-vis a household that doesn't even have any books around. If you don't have nothing around, even the child probably doesn't get the interest to just, because sometimes there's no power or what, and you're like, maybe let me try opening this thing and see what's there.
Exactly.
And before you know it, you're falling in love. But that's also a great tip.
I had an aunt, growing up I had an aunt called Dr. Lois Okedi. Although she's now late, she left us a few years ago. She contributed so much to my reading culture. She would reward us for reading for hours. She had books of all kinds in her library from all parts of the world.
Wow.
From the US, she had Disney books and other forms of literature. But she ingrained this into us seriously because she believed it's how we would come out as more responsible individuals.
Nice.
She believed that reading would build the mind. And any great writer today knows that writers are readers.
That's true.
Yes, you cannot do great work without being a reader. You can't write great work without being a reader. Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of that, you can't be a great writer without being a reader. Do you have certain writers who inspire you and have inspired your craft to this day?
Yes, so much. So
Please
much.
share.
Well, of course, almost everybody has read Shakespeare.
Yes, that's true.
But mine was Edgar Allan Poe.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Good pick.
Then Miles Munro.
Okay.
Derek Prince. Unfortunately, all those I've mentioned are late. But the ones we have still with us here today include Moses Lajum. He's a Ugandan writer. Benjamin Zulu, a Kenyan writer.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. I follow Benjamin Zulu a lot. And then a Nigerian called Bambulu.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it about their works that you feel inspire you?
Well, they're thought-provoking. That's the first thing. Very thought-provoking. And the thoughts that they provoke inspire you to challenge the norm. And I love deep things like that, things that inspire purpose in everything. Purpose in not only why we write, but why are we here? Why are we on earth? We are not here by mistake. We are not here to pass through. There's a saying that this world is not my home. I'm just passing through.
Yeah.
It's more than just that.
Okay.
We're here to create impact. We're here to attach purpose to everything and not abuse them. When we attach purpose to things, we get the intended good out of those things. But when we don't know the purpose of things, we tend to abuse them. So these writers have that one thing in common, that they attach purpose to different things and educate you on that subject, such that by the time you close the book, you are really educated with principles around different topics.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's powerful.
Yeah.
You're just saying that if we attach purpose to something, we don't abuse it. That's very deep. It's very profound.
I believe that.
Okay, so our time here is quickly, shifting, but I wouldn't want us to end without talking a little bit on your publishing side. You are, you're now morphing from being a writer, you're also in the publishing space. What's the journey been like for you?
Well, there is me publishing my own work, and then there is me beginning a publishing company.
Very excited.
Which side do you want me to start with? Yeah.
You publishing your own work, and then we'll get into it.
Well, it's been a journey of growth. publishing my own work. It started with a vision. How vision works is you see the end from the beginning. You see the finished product. You see the impact before the pen. And so I began the journey, made a few mistakes, but that's how we learn and that's how we grow. I had a mentor, Jessica Layado, who guided me at several points, and I thank her for that. But there were also things I had to discover for myself. So it was a journey of self-discovery. Some things were self-taught, others were taught by others. Yeah.
Okay.
But all in all, I've loved it. And it's a journey I'm not about to finish. It's a road that I'm still walking. I'm still authoring books, and I will do my best to make sure that I give this value to the world.
Okay. And so from Love and Lavender, you've been self-publishing? Is that so?
Yes, on Amazon. But the last 3 books, Dead Dreams Are Alive, Hearts Are Thieves, which is laced with a bit of the Zulu language, and then Threads of Time. Those 3 are under my publishing company, which is called Dominari. Dominari House.
What does Dominari mean?
Dominari is a Latin word that means dominate, to dominate. So
Here to conquer.
exactly, here to dominate, not in terms of fame or clout. We're not after any of that, but we're after dominating in terms of offering value.
That's beautiful.
Exactly. So we're here to offer as much value as we can, and we want to serve the most. So our kind of dominion is a different one from the contemporary.
Okay.
The average mind today would think that dominion means we have come to push out everybody that we find. No, but we are here to serve the most, to inspire the most, to motivate others the most, to
Okay.
communicate the most.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how's the journey been setting up a publishing
well,
house?
Setting up a publishing house is challenging, as any other business is at the start. But we love a good challenge at Dominari. We love a good challenge, and but we are seeing growth. We're having some Ugandan authors that we are working with already, and next year we'll have some nice publications.
Drum rolls.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. I'm very excited. I'm very excited for what Dominari has to bring. And now, as a publisher, there's writers, and I do a bit of writing myself. One of the things that writers will struggle with is the most cliche thing is writer's block. So now speak to the writer out there. How do they overcome this thing, this great menace?
Called writer's block.
Yeah.
Well, myth buster. Contrary to popular belief, writer's block is not toxic.
It's a huge myth buster.
Yeah, it's a necessary evil. It's necessary.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us more.
Well, this is through my own self-discovery. I believe that writer's block comes to communicate to us that we are running out of balance. We write for several reasons. We write to inspire others.
Okay.
But in many spaces, we sort of begin to write out of obligation and forget about the inspiration and the purpose. So when it becomes too much about obligation and less about purpose, then we begin to fall out of balance and we begin to receive writer's block. So writer's block comes to tell you that something is wrong. Without it, you wouldn't know that something is wrong.
Okay.
It comes to tell you sometimes that you're burnt out, you need to rest. It's good to let your drafts rest. So we need to begin looking at writer's block as a good thing.
I like that. Okay.
When I wake up in the morning and I have to write a post, maybe on a platform like X, and I'm not really coming through with what I want to say or with anything, I need to ask myself questions like, in the first place, what do I want to say? What's the importance of it? When that becomes clearer, the ideas get clearer as well. But also I need to ask myself questions like, have I been on a writing spree?
And now I'm like spent.
Yes, now I'm spent. If I've been on a writing spree, then it could be burnout. Or are there other challenges in my life that are currently affecting my creativity?
Okay.
Maybe I need to go slow. So when we begin to look at writer's block that way, it makes us introspect and become more self-aware of what is really going on with us.
Okay.
So it's really a good thing.
That's a good thing.
It's happened to me at several points, and I have left my drafts to rest, and then later on I've come back to them.
Okay. So my next question is a bit similar to writer's block, but it's different.
Yes.
Sometimes as a writer, you will struggle with committing to one project. You write this book A, I have an amazing plot, so you start writing, and then like 3-5 chapters in, you're like, then I have another idea. So you start like, you have another manuscript you're working on. So you have like so many unfinished projects. How does a writer be disciplined and talk about that?
Well, that's a good question. Well, manuscript hopping has two sides to it. There's a positive side, but there's a negative side. The positive side is that if you are able to hop manuscripts, that means you're so creative. That means the gift is there. It actually communicates to me that you're gifted. You have a talent. If you can come up with ideas for 4 books within half a year, that means that you're sitting on something you're not really exploiting. That's the positive side. So before you feel bad about it,
feel good about it.
First feel good about it. Look at the positive side. But then there's a negative side, which is lack of progress with any finished works. When you're hopping from one manuscript to the other, what is happening is that you begin to lag behind on your earlier drafts. But how you can navigate through that is to realize that we hop manuscripts when there's too much noise.
Okay.
By noise, I mean there's noise within the creator's soul, the creative soul. When the creator's mind is full of noise, they will be disorganized. So first know that there is noise. You're having noise, a lot of noise going on. And how you settle that is in different ways. Personally, I take a fast.
Okay.
I take a fast. Yes, I do. I take a fast. It calms my mind.
What fast? Like food fast?
Yes, a food fast.
Okay, I thought a fast from writing.
No, I take a food fast for about 2-3 days, just drinking. And what that does, it calms the mind. And when it calms the mind, I begin to think about which one of these manuscripts is the most important, or which one would carry more value for the reader, or which one would be a great loss to humanity if I didn't finish it. So fasting helps me to ask myself those important questions.
Okay.
And I look through the different topics, because each manuscript is its own thing, it's its own idea. And I ask myself, which one does the world urgently need? Then I said that one, and that's the one I will focus on and finish.
But you know what I'm picking from what you just said is that it's bigger than what you want.
Yeah.
Like it's not just my whims in this moment, but it's also like what does the world need and what does the writer need.
Yes. Anything that is full of purpose is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. It's for the world. It's for the children out there, for the men out there, for the women out there. And it's not something that I'm doing for myself. That's how you know you're on the right track.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to take another turn. This is a huge twist. You are on the telly of the taxman. So definitely something about tax has to come in as a writer.
Yes.
Have you encountered any interaction with the taxman so far? And if not, how are you preparing for when that time comes?
Well, when you're beginning any business and registering it, you can't avoid the taxman. And you have to, of course, get your TIN number, the URA, and have that attached to your business. But I'm happy with what Amazon is doing. Amazon makes the tax automatic.
Oh, that is that.
It asks you for your country's TIN number. Sorry, for the TIN number that is given to you by your country, by your government. So if you are a Ugandan author, it will request you to provide the TIN number such that the taxes are automatically deducted. Exactly. So they help you as an author to avoid tax. What it's called
entanglements.
Exactly. And so you don't really have tax debt if you work that way.
Okay.
Yeah, and it really gives you peace.
It does.
Yeah. So Amazon does that for me. And but I think the other ways in which we interact with a taxman, another way is now when we are publishing. There is of course those records of how many books have been sold, and those dictate what tax we have to remit. So because we are just new on board, we are still figuring that out.
Okay, nice. And if all we can say here at URA is whatever you're contributing, we are always grateful because you're contributing to developing Uganda, and that's a very noble thing to do. So thank you, Jasper, for developing Uganda.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dominari, as well.
Thank you, Dominari, as well. Thank you. And so we're going to wrap up, but before we wrap up, just you can look into the camera and talk to any writer, any listener, any reader, anyone out there, a lover of the written word, but also a lover of just art and creativity in general. What would you tell them? Like, what are your parting shots?
Well, my message to every writer out there is that time is running out. We are here for a limited time. Your life is not forever. We are finite beings, and that means that this is the time to impact the world with your gift. The reason why earlier we said that the graveyard is the richest place on earth is because many writers take their gifts with them to the grave. They take the books that they have never written, the journals they have never scripted, the movies they have never scripted with them to the grave. So my message is, do it now. Do it now. That idea you're having, that idea of a book you're having, effect it now, not later. As simple as that.
Thank you so much, Jasper. Thank you so much, writer of this generation. It's been an honor to have you on the program, and we have learned so much. And for me, what has really stuck out is what you started with. Do not cheat your generation. So whatever it is that you feel in your guts, inside you, that I was born to do this is my purpose, pursue it and leave nothing behind. Just give it your all. And I pray that you find your purpose. For those who haven't, and those who have, do not cheat us, do not cheat this generation, do not cheat the world, and do not cheat yourself. So thank you so much for tuning in, and have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.